everyone, and welcome to another episode of LunarCRUSH Live. We're really excited today. We've got a cool crew coming on. We were just chatting with them backstage, and these guys are full of life. So, John, we're going to talk about Unibright. You're going to go through some social metrics, and then we're going to bring the guys up on stage.
Thanks, Joe. This is brought to you by Bear Coast Coffee. Really good espresso today. If you're ever in Orange County, stop by Bear Coast Coffee. That's my plug for them. Let's see here. So a couple things. One, we're going to give away a t-shirt today. I think I just came up with that. Let's do that. Let's give away a t-shirt today. And let's give away a t-shirt to at least one individual that asks questions in the stream today. So we want to get your questions answered. So a lot of questions for Unibright. Very exciting day today. So let's get started with talking some of the insights that we see on Unibright. And this is a really unbelievable performer over the last year. So we've posted about Unibright quite a few times because it's just almost shocking, the return. This isn't a typo, we checked. So if you put $1 in a year ago, it's worth a lot more. Up 3,496% UBT. And when we look at the social activity, it's there matching it right alongside. So let's look at social volume. So social volume's up 2,970% over the last year. Let's look back at, like, for example, let's pick a day, November 30th, there were 13 social mentions on social media, and that's across Twitter and Medium and YouTube and Reddit and lots of sites out there. And so 13 mentions. Let's fast forward let's look at the high here in May, where we have, we have 839 mentions. So it's getting picked up. And the more exciting thing here is it isn't like, they hired an influencer one day and all of a sudden it went wild. There's consistent activity going on here. This is a lot of volume. And when we look at the engagement, which is really telling, when you look at the depth, engagement is really not just the mentions, it's the comments, it's the retweets, it's people really have conversations. And we see that the conversations are up 3,238% versus a year ago. And we also see that the number of contributors is up 1,800%, which means that's gone up a lot. That's a ton, but they're also posting more. So when we see that it's up 1,800%, yet the volume's up almost 3,000, there's people that are more engaged and posting more. So very exciting. Social dominance, so up 3,453%. And of all these posts, more are bullish that are posted. So as this keeps going, I'm sure when your coin's up 3,500% in a year, the bullish posts keep rolling in. So we're seeing a lot of bullish activity with what people are posting. So very, very exciting stuff. Just one last thing. We're also seeing that the number of, this is notable here, shared links. So we capture every link that's ever posted in a social post, and we sort of like spider it like Google does kind of. And we look to see what coins is it related to. What is it? Is it news? Is it something else? Is it like a block explorer link? And we're seeing that the links shared within posts are also increasing. So unique shared links is really something that we look at. It's very interesting stuff. And over the past year, so we also look at, like, well, who's posting this stuff? In fact, let's dive in real quick. Let's actually look at the influencer page. And when we look at this, we see that over the last year, based upon really majorly based on engagement, number of posts and the followers, when we bring all that together and then we weigh it out over time, we see that the top influencers, well, Unibright's account themselves, Jack, there he is, who we're talking to today, Ripple Riddler, Crypto Coins, or Crypto Coins, Crypto Coins, but Crypto Coins is the username. There we are. We're the fifth because we posted this a few times because we've noticed that social activity goes up, and that's what we do. We got Andromeda IX, Chico Crypto, Penguin Marty, Def Not the IRS, and Professor 2034, Love Crypto Wizard, and Bullish Dotio. So with that, let's bring on our guests and talk more about Unibright.
Cool. Boom. There they are.
Wow.
Ruud, Jack.
Yeah, wow. Good job, guys.
What's up, guys?
Hey guys, thank you so much for coming on and being a part of this. We're really excited to chat with you through Unibright. And but first, we want to hear a little bit about you guys. So maybe Ruud, you could talk a little bit about yourself, where you are in the world, what's it like there, and what you do at Unibright.
Yeah, thanks a lot. We are both from the Netherlands, so I live in The Hague, close to the beach, actually. And yeah, I've been working at Unibright now for 2 years. And in the beginning, I was focusing more and building up ambassador team in the beginning, focusing on something with marketing, but then we started to get more like a free role. And now, basically, a couple of months ago or a couple of weeks ago, we released a course on Ivan on Tech Academy. Maybe you guys have heard about that, but so we made a course for baseline protocol, and that was very interesting for me to do personally. But yeah, so those are kind of the things that we have been focusing on, and now it's a bit more free. So I'm at the stage, and I cannot say that much, but I'm developing something with a couple of people that might have something to do with charities in a couple of months. Which I will be working on, which has definitely something to do with Unibright. So that's kind of the plan. And so, yeah, that's something that I've been developing, and obviously very excited about Unibright because it's amazing to see this up close, how everything's starting to develop. And you just mentioned that it's so amazing that we've gone from so far. But for me, the most amazing thing was that we were actually so unnoticed while I knew what a product we had. And for me, that's the most amazing thing, that we are still so unnoticed if you compare that to what we have and how that's going to change blockchain for enterprises. So that's kind of my opinion about that. I think we're still very unnoticed, but at least we're getting some recognition. And I think, of course, baseline protocol had a lot to do with it. So yeah, that's my story.
Welcome. And Jack, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, thanks for having me and Ruud in your show. Very great to see all those analytics from social media. Totally my part of Unibright. I'm also happy that I was the number 2 after the Unibright account, because otherwise it wouldn't be good if I was number 10 as the community manager. I started as a normal community member. I was really interested in what Unibright was doing. And then Ruud started together with the team, the ambassador program, and I became an ambassador. And after a while, Stefan and Martin, the founders, asked me if I wanted to become the community manager. And yeah, that was really gave me some boost to help Unibright. And ever since then, I'm doing all the social media and all the community stuff.
And he's doing an awesome job, if I can say so.
We can objectively say he's doing an awesome job. That's an impressive gain. Honestly, that's really great. I'd love to hear more about that. Like, you were part of the community, and then you decided to join. How did that transition go? And are you doing the same with more of the community and bringing them in now? Like, what does the strategy look like?
Yeah, I think that there wasn't really a strategy. I think it was more natural, and that totally fits in Unibright. Of course, crypto, it's a lot about hype and bringing the influencers and on social media, but yeah, there's also another side, and I think that the natural thing, and of course we like also the memes and the GIFs and all that kind of stuff, but the community I think it's different than other communities. But yeah, we can discuss that with some people on the chat maybe.
Sure.
Better to tell them that they explain that. It's hard to say about the community.
Yeah, and some special mention maybe to Magic and Dan, who have been very, very incredibly supportive for the last 2 years, and a lot of people that we can't mention, but especially those two guys. They've done so much, and they're still doing so much. So shout out to those two guys.
Yeah, no, it seems like you guys got a great community. So just walk us through a little bit. What is Unibright? What's the enterprise? There's a token attached to it. It seems like enterprise blockchain development, in short. But tell us kind of how this came together and where you guys are today with this, and what is this? Like, what is Unibright? What is the organization? What is the token?
For
Ruud, if you want to take it.
Yeah, it started with Martin and Stefan. So Martin Jung and Stefan Schmid, and they've been working together for a long time, for many years already. And they set up their integration company, which was focused more on basically business integration, which has something to do with basically IT systems, ERP systems like SAP or Oracle. And they've been focusing on integration. And they saw when blockchain came up, there was kind of like a missing link that was still there. And one of the things that it is with blockchain is that everything is still written in code. And of course, there are some great features about blockchain, but the fact is not everyone at every company can work with blockchain. So there will be a big shortage in developers in a couple of years, already a shortage in developers. So what happens if mainstream adoption comes? Like, how many developers would we need? So what they thought of with Unibright was basically a framework which you can basically integrate in your own IT system, the IT system of your own company, like SAP or Oracle. And you can basically integrate Unibright framework into there. And it is a non-code framework, which consists of 4 steps, which I can explain later. But it basically allows you to create smart contracts without any coding skills. And it consists of templates as well. So, for example, every use case in business, every use case basically has a template. Let's say, for example, 80% of all blockchain cases in most enterprises is just normal repetitive stuff. You have to do this over and over again. So most smart contracts, most business development tools will be, okay, over and over again. So it has to be something repetitive. So they thought of a workflow designer where a company can basically take a template for a use case. For example, batch tracing, where a company can trace their own goods, trace their supply management. And they can choose a template which is designed for that use case, batch tracing, and then basically take their own business process. They look at their company, how does the business flow? They create a workflow design a workflow of how their company goes, and change that into a smart contract. So basically, it's I see it a little bit as a transition from MS-DOS to Windows 95. So it basically allows anyone within a company to create smart contracts and to manage smart contracts. And that's the most important thing, that in the past, maybe if a company wants to adopt blockchain technology, they hire a couple of developers who would come in and they would change and translate all the language into smart contracts and then tell it back to the management and say, okay, whatever is happening on the blockchain. But the Unibright framework allows the whole company, 100% of the company, to observe what is happening on the blockchain, to change the data, because it has nothing to do with code. It's an automatic code creator, if you put it like that. And because it's integrated into your own company's IT system, everything is connected together. So you can take the data from SAP and you can just link that into the Unibright framework. Did I explain that clear?
Yeah, it's interesting. It's almost like the move from having, a large company that has servers and they're hosting everything that they're doing to almost now cloud, and anyone can interchangeably come in and just spin up a smart contract, almost like you'd spin up like an S3 bucket with AWS or something. And, it allows, I think there's probably still some technical side to it, but a lot less than you would need and a lot less expensive. It probably costs $2 to $5 million to spin that up on your own versus what you guys are working with, right?
Exactly. And you were asking before about the Unibright token, and it's basically all the tools that we have that are working with Unibright. They use Unibright, the Unibright token. We actually call it the Universal Business Token, UBT, right now. And nice. It is the fuel of the network. And you can actually see a token calculator on the website, which basically, if you pick a template, every template has a different token calculator. So you look how big is the workflow, how many transactions you have per month, and then we automatically calculate the amount of tokens you will need per month. And that's kind of how we calculate. So it's the fuel to use the network.
So that's big for your services as well, isn't it? I believe, right? So you use UBT to pay for products and services?
That's an extra use case that came later, because what we're constantly doing is constantly busy trying to find more use cases for the token. And so it's not like the original use case was the fuel of the network. Obviously, it's not just, if you would say it is just to pay for services, then you would think, okay, what's the use of the token? But the token is vital. It's a vital element as the fuel to use all the tools in the network, whether you're connecting to an IT system or if you're just using a workflow design tools. The Unibright token is basically the fuel of the network.
I have a question on that. So how do these enterprises that are going to be utilizing the services, how do they get Unibright? I mean, are they exchanging it with you guys? Are they paying you with fiat first? Is there a wallet that's there for them? How does that interchange work?
We did a joint venture with Provide Platform, which is one of the main contributors as well to Baseline Protocol. And we actually set it up like that. Provide Platform is based in the United States and Unibright is based in Germany, which became kind of like another partnership, but a joint venture. And right now clients can basically buy Unibright tokens at Provide Platform, and Provide Platform has to basically buy the tokens on the exchange. So that's basically an in-between. So Provide Platform also has tools which they use, like the Unibright framework has tools, and Provide Platform have tools, and it became such a technical marriage, sort of like a baseline marriage between the two companies, where actually even Provide Platform saw how unique the Unibright token was, and basically said, okay, from now on we will use the Unibright token for our tools as well. So these companies merged, formed a joint venture, and now tools of both companies will be basically using the Unibright token as fuel, which can be purchased by companies at Provide Platform.
Got it.
And we also connected with Coinbase custody now also, so that problem is also solved for professional clients or services.
Yeah.
Coinbase custody. Oh, wow. Yeah. And there's a bunch of, we're not going to get into price and exchange listings and all that, but there's quite a few comments in here about when Coinbase.
Maybe interesting to mention.
Oh, that's new.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. What was I going to say? Maybe interesting to mention as well that, for example, some people might think that we have a big wallet. Like some companies, they have huge wallets where basically a company can just like buy tokens from Provide or something. But you can see that all the tokens are already circulating, because our total supply is 150 million and the circulating supply is 149 million. So that means that we don't have a company wallet where companies can just buy tokens. So whenever we need tokens for companies, when, for example, a large company needs to buy tokens at Provide has to buy them from the market. So very important to mention as well.
Interesting. Well, and you don't have a lot of transparency issues with that scenario. It's like the tokens are out there, here's how it works. And there's no like founders dumping and any of that stuff. Great.
No,
I love hearing that.
No.
So I'm just trying to understand. So I want to get into like, what are these use cases that you guys are getting? Because, you know, we worked at some very large companies in the automotive space, in artificial intelligence, and there's always these internal discussions that have been happening for the past 4 or 5 years about like, hey, we need to do something with blockchain. And it's, you know, traditional software developers, traditional strategists, all just eating the buzzwords out there and not really knowing where to start. Or there's kind of that side of it, and then they'll dump this like on an innovation team or something like that, do something with blockchain. And there's that side of things. And then there's other things that I think like we're seeing, like automotive, for example, we're seeing a lot of different companies get into like trying things out. What are those use cases that you're seeing? Like what are enterprises thinking about right now?
Yeah, I think for enterprises, I think blockchain is also use case agnostic, just like Unibright is. And you have to think where in your processes, in your business processes, you can use blockchain. And I think that's the critical part to start. Not you can work in the supply chain, or what kind of systems does an enterprise have work? So they have to think about that to start.
Yeah,
And are
and I
you
think
seeing,
as
is
well,
that
if
like
you
a,
look at the, sorry.
good. No, I was going to say, is that like a blockchain business analyst that's internal? Is that something that you guys are providing to them? Or is that like something that they're coming to you with already?
Well, I'm not quite sure if you followed the baseline protocol, or maybe I should explain a little bit what the baseline protocol is.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, it started actually in March of this year when Consensus, Microsoft, and a couple of other larger companies decided to get
EY.
together and to look. And Unibright and Provide basically said, okay, how can we make Ethereum suitable for enterprises? Because there's one thing lacking with Ethereum, that companies are a little bit hesitant to jump into Ethereum, and that's the fact there's a lack of privacy. Like, for example, if you have a large client and they wants to use blockchain, you don't want anyone to look at Etherscan to look at your wallets, or to
Right.
to basically look at your transactions. That's something that you don't want to do. So what did they do? They basically formed a large consortium, and they thought about the baseline protocol. And the baseline protocol allows companies to use Ethereum, but with the privacy features. Also with the permission groups, like for example, Hyperledger is a private blockchain that companies right now use, where they can form permissioned groups together, so that nobody can look into that data. But the problem still is that many people still don't see, many companies still don't see that as blockchain is a way to get rid of the silos in your companies. With Hyperledger, you form this little silo with a couple of companies that you trust with your information. But there's still the issue of course, you have to trust those companies instead of going for Ethereum, where you trust the network. Now, what happens with baseline protocol? It's basically a middleware that you can stick into between your system, like for example, your SAP and Ethereum, and it allows you to use certain processes that you can work with on the blockchain, for example, messaging or payments. But you can do that in specific groups, so you can see it as it's a hybrid solution between Hyperledger and Ethereum. And it has all the benefits of Hyperledger. You can use privacy, you can use permission, it is scalable, but it has the robustness of Ethereum. And that's very important. So now companies are seeing that. EY, Ernst & Young, for example, Paul Brody had a couple of great interviews about the baseline protocol. They have OpsChain, which they had recently. And so everybody, if you want to check that out, the interviews with Paul Brody are amazing. But also our project with Kona, with Coca-Cola, where we basically put their bottling process on Ethereum. And that was huge news last year. And that's something that we have been doing with Provide and Unibright together, working on the use case of Coca-Cola, the bottling process of Coca-Cola. So that's a pretty big use case. And everybody watch out for this month or next month in December, because we're going to have an event soon where we're going to lay out some of the results from our initial workings. And that will be quite soon. So there will be news about that pretty soon. So I'm very, very excited about December.
In that scenario you just gave, so Coca-Cola came to you saying, what was their challenge that they were trying to overcome?
They were working with Hyperledger last year. Basically, it's about the tracing of the bottles. It's the whole supply chain system. It has more features. Let's not get into that.
I can explain something about it, Ruud. Yeah, Kona is the technology part of Coca-Cola in the US, and they're working with SAP. But the Coca-Cola is a group of, I think, 12 big bottlers in the US, and they all using small companies for supply chain in their supply chain, and those are not working on SAP because that's too expensive for them. And working with the baseline protocol, they can bring those systems together. So if you work with Google Doc Sheets or with Excel, that doesn't matter. If you baseline the process, you can connect them, and that's really great stuff. If you see the demos on the baseline YouTube, also there are already demos for Microsoft Dynamics and SAP. And yeah, that can be for big enterprises very good. So if one enterprise is working with Oracle or Salesforce and you want to connect it with SAP, you have the Ethereum mainnet in the middle. You use it as a message bus. And yeah, that's really something really simple. If you think about it, it isn't simple to build it, but to use the mainnet as a message bus, as middleware, yeah, it's public 24 hours. You pay for use, so it's really simple, but it's great.
It's something that a lot of people still don't really see how big this will be, because this just opens up the door for enterprises to start using blockchain technology and true blockchain technology instead of Hyperledger or Corda.
Yeah, but still in a private way, and that's really important. And that's the part where EY came in with already Nightfall they had, and they brought in the zero knowledge proofs. And still a lot of work to do. People think, okay, there's an announcement about something and they're going to work next week with it. Of course not. But the whole baseline protocol thing, yeah, that's also a thing I promote a lot. Not only for Unibright, but also for blockchain, because it's really something I believe in. And yeah, what Ruud also told, there are some really great people behind, and really companies, real good companies. So yeah, it's something to follow closely, also for you guys.
Yeah, most definitely.
The organizations you're talking about, with Ernst & Young and Coca-Cola and Microsoft, I mean, these are huge organizations. And I think some people in our space are so used to very quick announcements, things happening, and like product announcements. But there's a very large difference between, hey, we just launched version 2.1 of this software versus, hey, we have an enterprise relationship with Coca-Cola that we've put together. And the interesting thing to hear you guys talk about privacy, there's the narrative around crypto of, it's scammy, or, it's used for money laundering and all of these things, where people don't really understand when these large companies are actually digging in, they're realizing that it's actually more transparent, and they're worried about things that it's actually too public, right? Versus too private. And I think that's just a narrative that people might not really understand. And so it's kind of interesting to think about these corporations coming to you guys, and like that was one of their top priorities was, we can't have our logistics, tracking inventory public. And so it's like, how did you, was that early on in the stages of this, or is it kind of something that they're continuing to think through? And how do you guys solve that, like in a meeting with them and talk to them through that?
Yeah, that's not really our part of the job, but I am a lot also for community grow in the baseline community, and I speak with John Wolpert, and he's one of the guys who's getting the growth of the whole baseline protocol. He's pushing it also on YouTube. He likes it a lot. He's a lot on Twitter. He's a great guy to follow. He always communicates with his followers, and if you give a comment, he also replies. So that's great. It's showing. You have to show what you are building, and that's also great in the baseline community. It's open source. Everyone can join. If you are a small company, if you are a private developer, you can come in and build your stuff. But yeah, that's good. But you have to show what you are doing. If you want to do something, show it. And that's the spirit also of Baseline Protocol. That's a part in the Baseline YouTube channel, is show the code. If you have something to show, we will promote it, but you have to show the code, show it how it works. And that's great. So there are a lot of great companies now already inside the Baseline Protocol, and it's not really competition, it's more of a co-opetition. So everyone works together, and you can build, and you have the same vision, and that's great. Really great.
Question on so I've got the Coke case study in my head here. I'm trying to think this through. So they came to you, they wanted to be more efficient with their bottle process. You worked with them. I'm sure your workflow tool kind of flowed out how it's all going to come together. They have UBT to power all those processes. And then you have all these seemingly disparate organizations that all now have greater visibility. How are they accessing that? Are they building a custom application for visualization? Or is there another product that you all have that you built for them?
Yeah, I think that really depends on what the customer wants. If they are the ones who can decide what they want to have built, what we build. So that's not the problem, I think. And for Kona, it's great because it gives them more efficiency in their supply chain. So a more efficient way of working is money. So but also they have to show it. It's not that next week the whole supply chain of Kona is on the blockchain. No, you have to pilot, you have to test it. I think maybe for some time, but we will see. It's great that kind of companies are also joining the Ethereum enterprise space, the public space. Let's call it the public space.
Yeah, and just to note as well, like Jack said that earlier, and we're blockchain agnostic. So of course we're very much into Ethereum and we love Ethereum. But let's say, for example, if another blockchain comes along and becomes like the chain, like for example, if Cardano suddenly builds something and they become like the smart contract hub of the world, obviously we can integrate Cardano into our framework as well, and then companies can work with that. So. And it even has an application that you can switch blockchains where you basically migrate even the past, that all that happened. You can still see that, but still migrate your smart contracts to another blockchain. And that's also an application that is visible.
Are there any other blockchains that you guys are thinking about integrating and working with?
We already integrated EOS, NEM, and Hyperledger so far. Apart from Ethereum, but if you look at what companies at this moment are, basically Ethereum is pretty much on top of everything. So this is kind of what we focus on right now, but at least we are open to anyone. And if a blockchain, for example, if somebody builds a great blockchain and they want to contact us, that's something that we can do as well. But of course, it depends on the clients. So sometimes we are approached and somebody says like, look, I've got this great blockchain and this company that I work for, can you integrate us? Sure, show me the clients, show me your clients. I want to work with you. And then we start working. So there has to be use case. It has to be built. The code has to be there. So we don't work on promises in the future. We have to see the proof.
What would you use if someone they needed extremely fast, extremely scalable? Like I'm talking like SpaceX wants to use your platform. They want to use blockchain to track every single second of a moon mission, and they want to pass that data to 19 different suppliers, and it's constantly running. Like, what would you use for extremely high throughput?
I would ask them to talk to Stefan and Martin, as this is more their area of expertise. So they're the technical guys and we're the community guys.
And I'm also not the technical guy, but I think for that use case, is blockchain the solution? I don't think so, but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, probably a little too much data.
Or not ready. The blockchain is not ready for that kind of things.
Interplanetary blockchains.
Sorry?
Interplanetary.
Yeah. Who knows? But it's true. We don't need to blockchain for everything, and still we are so incredibly early, and people sometimes forget that they want to see things faster. But the idea for a baseline protocol only was the inception was in March this year, and this is just a testimony of how incredibly early we are. And and to be able to be there with Unibright at the beginning, and to see it develop, and now to envision what it will become as well, especially with the baseline protocol, is just amazing.
Yes, how do you guys see that in your the crypto world for you guys.
Which part?
Yeah, the whole from hype to reality thing.
Sorry, guys, my battery's low. I have to get
No worries, no worries.
to get my
It
plug.
happens.
Yeah, no, I think we see it as, the same as what you guys are talking about with projects. It's now we're in a world where all of these projects are companies and they're startups, and they're trying to get to, MVP, then they're trying to launch and get out there. And the difference with, what we saw at the beginning with kind of this ICO craze was, people are launching a token because they could launch a token, and they're creating this commodity or money or whatever you want to call it. And then they're kind of racing to this point, which is actually the exact same way that all startups work. You start on a vision and then you work towards a product. But the difference between, the private market of startups and crypto is that crypto's all in the public eye. So you got to put your roadmap out there. It's kind of like crowdfunding, where people would say, hey, I've got 100, investors that I'm going to, have in crowdfunding. That's crazy to have that many people on your cap table when there's like 3 people that are working. Now extrapolate that to cryptocurrency, where you go to the public market immediately and you have 50,000 people in your DMs asking when moon, right? And like all different languages. And so I think it was, if founders were inundated, and that's why a lot of people, there are certain things I think where people say, oh, there's been a rug pull, right? Or there's been something, it didn't work out. And yes, there's going to be some small percentage of that, but in reality, I think a lot of these people are just founders trying to execute. And sometimes that just doesn't work out. I think the difference of what you're seeing today, though, is, a lot of what you guys are building and capable of doing, you can launch these startups faster. It's kind of like launching a SaaS startup on AWS, build your website, and boom, you're out there. And I think we're going to see a lot more of that, in the future than what we see today.
Yeah, I agree.
I'll add a couple points. I mean, there's some projects we've seen around since. I mean, I've been investing since 2013 in this space, and you've seen, a lot of those projects that came out way back then. The fact that you go to their websites right now and you see that, they've got a list of places that accept their coin, and you see that there's 19 of them in 2020.
Yeah.
And you see that, oh yeah, we're coming out with mainnet pretty soon, and it's been 6 years. And you see like there's actual things being delivered now. Delivery is really, really important. And we talk to different coins every single week, and the amount of innovation that we're seeing right now is just like unparalleled. It's amazing. Yet there are some older coins that still are delivering slowly, and a lot of it is probably due to the fact that everyone's gotten high on decentralized organizations, and that's great, except for the fact that they can't even create a proper video. They can't even create proper marketing, and they can't even get the right team together to do the right things. And so there's a big variance forming from what it feels like, at least. Like there's some that are really delivering and some that are really struggling. So we see it. So
yeah.
Yeah, I want to switch and talk a little bit about, like John's talking about marketing and getting out there. I mean, you guys are kind of in community and in marketing. It seems like you have an organization where there's like this sales channel, but then you guys, it's getting out there, making sure the brand is known. I mean, how are you guys thinking about that from a marketing standpoint and social? And there's crypto Twitter, which might be, this is a great place to get in there and get people to understand your token and the use case, but that might not be the best place to market to for kind of key stakeholders and the people that are making the decision to, Unibright at Coca-Cola or Microsoft or wherever it may be. So what does that look like with your guys as kind of day-to-day? Ruud, maybe you can talk a little bit about marketing and then social and how you guys are kind of weaving that into the business.
Well, I think sometimes people mention that about marketing, but I think being such a huge part of baseline protocol is something that people have, that is marketing. So this is how it started, and the fact that we got so much attention through baseline protocol, and especially now with Coca-Cola. I mean, the moment that we gave out the news that we were developing something for Coca-Cola on the baseline protocol, I got so many emails from people. So that is kind of like, sometimes I think for crypto as well, the product will speak for itself. And of course, there might be some marketing. But right now we noticed there was such a load that came onto us, like an avalanche of people that were so interested in this project, that I think I hear some sound in the background. Just me, or okay?
I don't know, Jack. If you got a little background, if you could just mute.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, my wife.
Yeah.
So a little bit later there tonight.
That created so much attention in the enterprise space, because for us the main thing, of course, like we're very involved in the community, especially Jack. But if you look at the amount of enterprises that were interested after baseline protocol and that were contacting us, and basically Stefan and Martin's schedule is basically like a Swiss watch. Like every gap is filled right now, and they're being so busy with developing the product, building. It's amazing to see. But this is, especially I think when the first results will be shown in December, that will cause a lot of I think attention, especially within companies, because this is what we focus on. The main thing is to create more use cases for the Unibright token as well. So create more, basically building and create more use cases for the Unibright token. So and the more use cases obviously will be built, the more that will be needed in the future as well. And this is basically what baseline does for us as well. So I think that's the ultimate marketing tool right now.
Great. And
and for social media, that's I think Unibright has a sort of house style in the blog postings. If you check out the Medium from Unibright, it's really great. You can read back the whole history from the start, from the ICO or even before, and the blog postings are really great, and mostly written by Stefan and Martin. And that's also sort of house style. If you're into the enterprise and blockchain and the blockchain integration, it's just it reads like a book. It's really good education, and that's also marketing. It shows also with the videos from the demos that you are really doing something. And I think that's what people also like to see. Also the investors, the crypto investors. Not all. There are also a lot that just think, give my coin some hype and pump it, and I will leave it. But Unibright is a little bit different, and I like it. That's why I started to become an ambassador, and still now the community manager. So that's great.
See, what you just said is exactly why, when we first started tracking social activity, I mean, in some form or another, it all ends up on social. It doesn't matter if it's an investor saying, yes, I'm buying this coin, or there's a case study, or what the scenario is. It all ends up on social. And when we first started tracking activity, one of our own first questions was, well, is this one person sitting in a basement just tweeting all day? Is this an army of individuals that are like constantly talking about, the things that have meaning, and the things that, like, the evolution and the things you're building? And that's why we wanted to start tracking depth with engagement. And so that's why we also wanted to track individual social contributors. So how many people every day are posting. And so I think that's why, like, when we were looking at some of your stats there, there is a difference. There is a difference. If you guys just hired someone, we'd see it. And whether or not you're hiring individuals, regardless of that.
No.
Real so
people.
It's organic. It's organic even regardless of anything. It's organic. You can tell because it's pretty broad. You'd see that there's very few people driving a lot of engagement, and instead we see a lot of people driving a lot of posts and engagement. So that's good. That's actually very, very healthy. It's very good.
Yeah, and that's for Twitter also. That's why I don't like the voting polls or listing polls, because it's all fake. Everyone knows if you are longer in the space that you can buy your vote, and there's also always things around it, and that's not good. But real stuff. real
I always say
people.
that is the best practical joke you can pull on someone is buy like 500,000 followers for their account in the middle of the night while they're sleeping for $4. So it's always good. But what you brought up before is something, you know, that we set out to do is create transparency in the space. But you guys are doing it yourselves, right? With the open sourceness and writing and communication and being out there and putting a face on the project and what you're doing. And I think that is the key, and having that transparency because of the amount of people involved that want to be a part of what you're doing. And so to see that and to see more people doing that, I think is a really important part to the industry that's changed, you know, a lot over the last year. So we should probably get into a couple of questions here if we want to answer some. We got a really important one.
I had to throw that up there.
This one's also very important.
Very important.
We have another one.
I see all the all the smart people are online.
Too funny. You kind of answered already. You answered this one a little bit already, and you said that you guys are going to have some announcements, I think, later on how that's going and reporting on that.
There will be a good event in December.
Yeah. An announcement will be about that soon and how the event will look. But it's definitely in December. There will be obviously some info again about Fraunhofer, which is a very large institute as well. So that will be very interesting. But pay attention to December and the event that's coming.
You are smiling as you say that, so let's just assume it's a good thing.
we are always excited. It's still community members.
But it's just also because with me and Jack, I think we met we started the blockchain cruise like 2 years ago. I think 2.5 years ago. So that was fun, and that is why we started this ride together. So it has been great so far, but also. I cannot imagine sticking around with another company for so long because there's so much. Of course, blockchain is trust. That's what they always say. But the quality of this company and the quality of the technology basically is so convincing to me. Like for me personally, I cannot imagine being in crypto and working for another company right now because there's just one company at the forefront. But that's in my eyes. Obviously, I'm a little bit prejudiced with that, and I still have my own preferences. But just the fact to be able to working for Unibright and be a part of it, it's an honor. But it's also great to see it up close, to see it develop, and to see more and more attention getting there on Twitter, for example. So it's great to be part of that.
No, you guys are doing a great job with the social aspect of it and creating the community. Here's one. Is the project with DB Deutsche Bahn still ongoing? Could this be a partnership just like Kona will be?
No, there is still contact with the people from Deutsche Bahn, but the Deutsche Bahn project was really a proof of concept. So they asked us to show that was the tokenization case, and we wrote also some blogs about it. There's still good contact. What we hear from Martin and Stefan, and if there are new projects or ongoing projects or things they need us for, of course they will come to us. And I think they will always. Some people they have, for example, Deutsche Bahn. It's the biggest railway company. I don't know if it's of the world, but one of the biggest. And they have their own blockchain teams working on all kinds of solutions on different parts. And if they need Unibright, they can always call us. But not at the moment. There's active working with. We are not actively working with them.
And I think as well with Kona, it's kind of different because Kona was already working with Hyperledger. And it's basically they wanted to step into Ethereum via baseline protocol with Unibright, so they have been very active in the blockchain process already. So that's I see as a big difference as well.
Yeah, and that's also what I want to state is that I see also the announcements of projects like we work with Deloitte or we work with Walmart, but there are so many different kinds of working with, and I think for Kona it's great because the teams, the technology guys, they're working together on one project, and I think if you can show that and also to the public, also to the token holders, then you're doing it good, and not only an announcement on a Twitter or something like that.
I love this question. I want to add this one in from Andromeda. Andromeda IX, it's apparent many enterprises would greatly benefit time and cost savings from UBT services. What catalyst needs to happen for enterprises to really make the move towards blockchain adoption? That is a really important question.
That's a great one from one of our favorite community members. I think if I can get back to an article that Paul Brody from Ernst & Young EY wrote, where he wrote that some processes on the blockchain, and especially using baseline protocol, can save up. And he was mentioning software royalty calculations, where companies on that specific process can save 90% of the time plus 40% of the money. Now, if you have numbers like that, then it will happen very quickly, because at this time where companies have to save money on certain process, where companies basically have to watch out what they're spending, if they know that there's some technology that they can use which would save, even if it's a small process like software royalty calculations, but they can save 90% of the time, that's huge. And we also know, for example, in supply chain management, somebody once told me that when I was at a conference, they told me that to ship a container from Singapore to Antwerp, you need like a pile of paper, which is about 1 meter high. And imagine if those processes can be automated, how much money it would save. And I think it's just a matter of the first companies coming out with true numbers, with true data, basically saying, okay, this is how much we save, and this is when it has been proven and it's been working. I think that's when we see a large tsunami of companies that basically say, okay, I want to save money too.
No, great points. Yeah, especially with these just the time and cost savings, and it's just a matter of these case studies that you guys put out there. And once these case studies start to get out there, I mean, I think the selling is just gonna get easier and easier, like you said, just back-to-back meetings that are out there.
Yeah, I think that's one of the big points for coming years. But yeah, in crypto, it's coming hours. So, but you have to see further for that. But it's coming for sure.
It is coming, yeah. And it's like the true mainstream adoption that might be a couple of years away. But still, it is important that before it comes to be at the forefront. And we are exactly at the forefront. And that's interesting.
Yeah, and then, of course, there are different spaces, kind of. DeFi is totally something different. And I think in the further future, you can all connect those things also together, and that's also great. And things I follow personally because it's amazing what's happening now in DeFi also. Unibright is more focused on the business to business and business processes and integration, but DeFi is also something really great to follow. So yeah, it's exciting, the whole space.
Exactly. Yeah, the beauty about smart contracts is it's basically limitless. And that's the most interesting thing. Like in most people in 1992 had no idea how big the internet was going to be. And probably if you would have asked someone from Walmart and they talk about buying stuff on the internet, at that time they would say, no, but now Amazon is the biggest company in the world, and it is still very hard to imagine how big this space will be, but it's going to be huge. And the fact that the people that are watching right now and all of us as well are part of this new movement, it's pretty exciting.
Yeah, it can only really be described as a movement, which is kind of interesting. And when you think about what you just said with something like DeFi, where it's, blockchain is disrupting, my savings account and where I'm spending money, but it's also disrupting, the Walmarts and the Coca-Colas of the world in a completely different way, but with the same underlying technology. It's basically just the internet. This is the new age of the internet. The internet obviously still has to, it's just a new functionality on top of it that can disrupt any business and any nature out there. And so it just takes the innovators and the people that are willing to dream it up, and you can go after it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's excited, and also the whole movement, because it's worldwide. Everyone now with social media, and you can connect, and no one asks you what school did you do, which university. No bullshit. Can we do something together? Or that's great, and that's what I like most about this whole movement. Let's call it the movement.
So we've got a lot of comments about Joe's goatee, but
about what?
It's
I
Joe's
think
goatee. They said it looks European.
I think those are my some of my friends in the chat there.
Oh yeah, there is one I see. So we got maybe asking, how hard is it to develop the baseline protocol if so many companies are involved, especially coding? So I think they're getting at like, what's involved? How does one get going with this?
Yeah, I want to say, if you're a developer, go check it out yourself, because it's open source. If you're a business and you want to make use of baseline protocol in an easy way, you have to call us. So simple as it.
Great answer.
Yeah.
Couldn't have, great.
Cool. Well, guys, we're coming up on the hour here. I want to give you guys just a minute. Just what should people be looking for with Unibright? Like, what's the best way, for them to join, just on social, start following you guys, start learning YouTube. Like, how do people start to get involved, with the community, if they're just interested and excited about what you guys are doing, and just kind of give people a little, overview of how they get involved.
Yeah, we have the common crypto channels like Telegram. You can join the Telegram. We have the official Unibright Telegram channel. It's more asking the normal questions. If you want to share your gifs and all the memes and all the bullshit, you can go to the unofficial channel that's run by our community members. So that's great. We also have the Twitter, of course, where we share all the news. You can follow us also on LinkedIn, where we share everything. If you want to go into the history, go to the Medium website. It's really great to read some blog posts from the past. That's what I should do if I want to know more about Unibright.
Cool. Well, thank you. Well, Ruud, any last words?
An interesting thing to add, because we were just talking about DeFi, and there's also a project which we started a couple of years ago called Free Equity. And Free Equity is basically that talks a lot about tokenization, but also Free Equity has different elements. We gave out 5 blogs about that, and it basically how would we describe it? It's I think this will be the next DeFi for enterprises. So I will not make it too long, but this is going to be very interesting as well. And there's many elements about Free Equity that people will find very interesting. It's about tokenization and security tokens. So basically everything fully regulated.
Awesome. We'll look forward to learning a little bit more about that for sure. Well, cool. Well, Jack, Ruud, you guys, thank you so much for coming on. John, as always, it was a pleasure.
Thank you for inviting.
Yeah, everyone go check out unibright.io and start following these guys on Twitter. But thank you guys for coming on. I really appreciate it.